I'm sure you had a good trip to Newfoundland, Wendy.
Yes, it was fabulous.
Good.
Yeah. Glad to go while it was still relatively safe.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Jim. Martina, are we set to go?
We are indeed.
Okay, good. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. We'll be holding the meeting as though we're in the council chambers, and we'll follow all our regular policies and procedures. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak in a matter, and I'll call on you. When I call for the vote, I will call for all those in favor, followed by all those opposed. And I'll ask you to physically raise your hand to vote in the manner you wish to vote. I'd like to now call a roll. Please raise your hand and state your presence when I call your name. Okay, first member here on my list is Wendy Dunford.
Here.
Rod Manley.
Here.
Jim Patterson.
Present.
And Jim Mollahan. And myself as chair, Carl Moher. Okay, now with us as well is Martina. Thank you very much, Martina, Hardwick. And also helping her with the technical part is the Nicole Zinner. Welcome, everyone. And I guess at this point, any disclosure of pecuniary interest with the two matters before us today? Okay, seeing none, could I have approval of the minutes from August the 27th, the last date we met? Jim Mollahan, second by Jim Patterson. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now the severance application, B8721 and B8821 for Moore, 465 Cooper Road. Martina, could you take us through the highlights? We've all received the details of it, but if you could highlight it, please.
Absolutely. I'm going to apologize in advance. It's very dry in the office, so my voice is struggling a little bit this morning. But this application is B8721 and B8821 for Sharon Moore, located at 465 Cooper Road. It is to create two residential lots. The official plan designation on all the lots is rural. In the official plan, residential uses are permitted so long as they don't fragment farmland, and there's a maximum of 2 lots to be created every 25 years. There's been no previous severances on this land. From the zoning perspective, severed lot 8721 does not require a rezoning. Severed lot B8821 does require a rezoning, and the retained lot does not require a rezoning. The proposed severed lot 8721 will meet both the area and frontage requirements of the residential use within the rural zone. That's under section 9.2.4. The proposed lot B8821 will meet both the area and frontage requirements for the residential use in that same section. But in the review of the EIS, which is an environmental impact study that was submitted by Grace and Associates, it was determined that the vegetative protective zone to the south extended onto the proposed lot. The VPZ will need to be rezoned to environmental conservation to bring the property into conformity with the growth plan as per the comments that were received from the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority, which are dated October 22nd, which were in your package as well. And the retained lot meets both the area and frontage requirements of an agricultural use in the rural zone, so there's no rezoning required of that piece of land. Just to highlight, the application is in conformity with the provincial policy statement. The proposed lots are located close to the 120-meter buffer for key hydrological and heritage features, but the environmental impact study that was completed by Grace and Associates was submitted in part to address the provincial policy statement and the growth plan. The study was reviewed by ORCA, and again, their comments are attached, and they feel that the applications with the study does meet the PPS and the growth plan. There are safe entrances available for both of these lots. And a 3-meter road widening strip will be required. That's the 10-meter strip that we're used to talking about. For the chief building official's report, he was not able to comment in time for the writing of this report, but inspections were completed on both of the lots by the building inspector to verify that safe sewage handling is viable on both lots and there's sufficient space for that. There was a county preliminary review completed on this. The lots in that review were a slightly different configuration. So that was just pointed out in my report so to avoid any confusion. And I am recommending that the committee recommend to council that both these lots be approved. And if they're approved by the county's land division committee, that the following conditions be imposed. A $1,250 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the municipality for each lot. That a rezoning of lot B8821 be obtained to the satisfaction of the municipality. That safe entrances be approved by the manager of public works. That a 3-meter strip of frontage from the severed parcel be deeded to the township for road widening purposes. And that the depth of both the severed lots be increased slightly to ensure that the lots meet the minimum area of 0.4 hectares, 1 acre in size, when not including the strip of frontage to be deeded to the municipality. We want to make sure that those lots are the right size and that they're not undersized once the strip comes off. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Martina. Any comments, any questions? Okay. Okay, are we ready for a motion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim Patterson.
Well, I move to accept the report as presented by Martina and recommend it with the conditions, et cetera, to council.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that motion, Wendy? Any other comments or questions, Rod?
I just have a quick question. With regards to the rezoning, that's that environmental sort of bite that's out of that one lot, correct?
Through you, Chair, that is correct.
And in saying that, there seems obviously in the report that there's some strict conditions with that rezone portion. How do we, and again, this is just a general question for my sake, how do we ensure that that takes place? Like, is there a methodology? Does somebody check that? I mean, how do we do that?
So that would be through the building permit process, and they would need to get permits from Orca for their building. And so those conditions would be part of their Orca permit that they would receive about the fencing and runoff and ensuring the animals aren't being harmed and that type of, all of those things that were talked about in the mitigation section of the report.
Okay, so there is a method of follow-up then with regards to that. It's just, I know we were so detailed in the application process and it's such an excellent process. Some part of me thinks it's great long as that really happens in real life.
Mm-hmm. So it would be through the building permit process. And because those are mostly environmental issues that are being dealt with, that's why Orca puts that through their permitting process as opposed to the township's permitting process.
Okay, thank you.
I believe in sometimes, Martina, these conditions are also registered on title. I don't think they're asking for that to be done in this case, but in some cases, I think I've seen it registered on title so that the successor owner of the property is well aware of what they should or shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct. When Orca permits are not required for building projects, but there are clear recommendations about environmental features on the site, we do a mitigation measures agreement where those the recommendations for mitigation are attached right to the title. In this case, there are permits needed, so we didn't feel the need to add this additional layer of burden onto the property owner.
Okay, thank you. Now, I don't think we voted on that. All in favor of that motion? Okay, it's carried. Thank you. Next application is for David and Tracy Smale, 575 County Road 40. And I think David is on the line. So thank you. Welcome, David. Martina, can you take us through this application, please?
Absolutely. So as you stated, this is B 11721 and B 11821 for David and Tracy Schmale. The request is to create 2 residential lots. I just want the committee again to note that the configuration that was on the preliminary severance review dated November 9th, 2020 is different than the configuration that was actually applied for, which is a normal process as things move through the review. Sometimes there's requests or recommendations as to different lot sizes and configurations, but just to avoid any confusion in that matter. So all the lots are all of the official plan designations on these lots is rural. And of course, residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflict with adjacent operations are not created. A maximum of 2 consents to create new lots can be permitted from a property within the designation, as it existed 25 years prior to the date of application, and there's been no other severances. The size of the new lots created specifically for residential use shall not exceed 1 hectare in area, as per the township's official plan. The area may exceed 1 hectare if there's other rural uses in addition to or separate from the residential use. Lot 2, which is file 118/2021, does not exceed 1 hectare in area, but lot 1, which is 117, does exceed the 1 hectare in area as listed, and it's listed as 4.2 hectares, which is 10.3 acres. In speaking to the applicants, and Dave is here to address this as well, they have a recreational trail on their property for their own use, and they wanted to ensure that the trail remained with the house, and those 2 features were not separated. For zoning, all of the lots are, lot B 11721 is rural and environmental conservation, and then the other 2 lots are rural, and none of these lots require rezonings. Just trying to only highlight the important parts for you. A rezoning of the wetland and their associated vegetative protective zone, the VPZ, were not required as the VPZ does not extend into either severed lots, and the township cannot request a rezoning of the retained unless the severed is also being rezoned. I just wanted to highlight that because the last application was a little bit different. We did request a rezoning of that VPZ, but in this case, it's not needed. The proposed lots are located within 120 meters of key natural and hydrological features, including a provincially significant wetland, unevaluated wetlands, streams, and possible species at risk. An environmental impact study was completed by Cambium, dated September 2021, that was submitted with the application to address the provincial policy statement and the growth plan. The environmental impact study that was prepared was reviewed by ORCA, and their comments were attached. They're dated November 29, 2021. And both the applications appear to meet the PPS and the growth plan. Both of these lots front onto County Road 40, so the County of Peterborough will be the authority on entrances. And they did supply a report along with the preliminary severance review that was done, and they feel that safe entrances are possible. For the CBO, comments weren't available at the time of writing, but inspections have been completed on the lots by the building inspector to verify that safe sewage handling is viable on both lots and there's sufficient space. As well, the EIS identified a specific location for development on the undeveloped lot so that we know that there's locations for development to take place outside of the environmental areas. Those are all of the comments from the report. And I am recommending to the committee that both of these lots be recommended to council for approval. And if they're approved by the Land Division Committee, that a $1,250 cash and low parkland fee be paid to the municipality for each lot. That a mitigation measures agreement be entered into between the owner of the municipality and registered on title at the owner's expense, which would recognize those recommendations included in the summary of recommendations from the environmental impact study prepared by KMPM Inc., dated September 2021.
Thank you, Martina. Mr. Smale, any comments that you'd like to add to the committee meeting here today?
I don't think so there. Can you hear me there, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
We can hear you fine.
Yes, okay. No, everything that Martina reported is as we understand, so I'm clear with what's been reported and fine with that.
Okay. Any questions from any of the committee members? Wendy?
Just for clarity through you, Mr. Chair, normally, again, we talked about the 10-foot strip being deeded to the municipality, but in this case, that's not required because it's a county road. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct. It would be the county who would request that road widening strip if that was required from the applicant. So the county also can impose conditions upon applicants, same as the township. So if that was something they wanted, they would impose that as part of their conditions they put on the application.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Comments? Okay, are we ready for a motion? Okay, Rod, go ahead.
I'd like to move the motion before us as the recommendation of the report.
Okay, and with the conditions as stated by Martina. Okay, seconded by Jim Mullahan. And any other comments, questions? Rod, go ahead.
Could I just ask, one of the conditions is the mitigation measures agreement, and I understand that the municipality will be attaching that to this. I read the summary within the environmental impact, and there seems to be, again, some of the language is, and one area that I was asking about was tree clearing, and it talks that tree clearing should be limited to the required building areas. I guess the key is when we ask for the agreement, do we use word for word or do we firm that up, or is there any control? The words should be is pretty liberal. And in fact, I'm asking if there's any control over the fact that if you tell me should be, I can really, that's not very strong.
Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So we use the mitigation list that's from the study. We do that word for word, and we attach that to the agreement. The township cannot change the language in that sentence, and neither can we enforce it, as we do not have a tree cutting or tree clearing bylaw. So we can only educate and request, but we cannot actually enforce the regulations about tree clearing. For the parts about species at risk, that would be the MNRF who would be responsible for the enforcement of those sections.
Just further to that, there has been a move in recent years to look at some kind of tree cutting bylaw, maybe not over the whole township, but especially along the lakefronts. The situation has been certain developers tend to come in, and when there's a lot that's to be developed, they tree cut the whole lot, even way beyond what's needed. And it causes a lot of stir among neighbors, rightfully so. So I think you'll find in the years ahead, there will be something come forward that addresses that, because it is in this carbon, trying to control the carbon, and we're cutting down trees. It isn't the best direction we should be going. So that's part of the things that we'll probably see in the future with certain bylaws. Okay, Rod?
Okay, sorry, just one last question. The large lot that the 10 acres was left has ample frontage to again resever. Is that possible, or is that allowable, or how do we address that?
Go ahead. There is an answer to that question. Martina?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. A property has to be in existence for a minimum of 25 years before a severance is possible. So this, in theory, under today's regulations, if we had the exact same regulations in 25 years, I was giving a great answer and it turned out I was muted the whole time. Let me start again. So through you, Mr. Chair, we have regulations in our official plan that you cannot sever a lot until it's existed for 25 years. So if we had the exact same regulations we have today in 25 years, Mr. Smale and his family could investigate severing that lot. But I know that with the new official plan that's coming in 2022 and the new regulations that are coming from the province that are going to be attached to that official plan, the opportunity for severances in these more rural areas will be more constrained. So I can't say for sure whether this lot will be severable in 25 years, but there will be regulations that look at that and provide a framework if it is possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we vote? Okay, we're ready to vote. All in favor of the resolution? Okay, it's carried. Thank you very much. This will be recommended to council as well, as per the resolution. And our next item of, there's no severance proposals on this meeting. Our next meeting looks like it's February and nothing for January, Martina?
That is correct. We won't be having a meeting in January. Our next meeting will be February 25th. I don't have any applications for that date, but please just keep it in your calendars because we know things change over the holidays.
Okay.
And then I just 2 items, if I can bring up to council, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Thank you. So last night at our council meeting, a new procedural bylaw has been passed. And so it's going to be implemented and started January 4th. So in advance of our meeting in February, if we do have that meeting, I will be providing a bit of training and some information packets to everyone on the new rules. They are not changing very much, so you won't see a huge difference. But we have tightened up some rules about delegation requests, how the role of the chair functions, how committees function. So committees must follow the regulations that council follows in the procedural bylaw. In the past, committees were almost a gray zone, we'll say, and they had a lot more leeway in their actions. But due to provincial regulations and the need for transparency and fairness across all township activities, we are imposing the same regulations on committees that council has. But I'll get some information together for everyone, so it won't be a surprise. And we'll do a little training exercise as well, so that we're all ready to roll. As well, I just wanted to note that today is Nicole's last meeting with us. She'll be leaving us tomorrow, and I just wanted to publicly thank her for all of the work that she's done for this committee and the Committee of Adjustment. She's been invaluable, and it's been a joy to have her here. So I just wanted to publicly thank her for all of that work she's done.
Very definitely. Thank you, Nicole. And I hear you're going back to school, so that's great. Great opportunity, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you.
So, I guess this is our last meeting. I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and hopefully it's a good time with family. And stay safe. I think that's the key word these days. So, and thank you very much for attending. All the best. Anything else, Martina?
That's it. I just hope everyone has a very happy holiday. And thank you all again as members, and to you, Mr. Chair, for all of the work you've done on this committee this year.
Thank you very much. And thank you, folks.
Merry Christmas.
I should perhaps move adjournment.
Yes, that's a good one, Jim.
Second.
Somebody's second is Wendy. And all in favor?
Oh,
It's correct.
you can't say no.
Okay, well,
Back to the Hunger Games.
have a great day.
Merry Christmas,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.